Shut up and sit down.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Gamma Legacy. Today we're going to be covering Gamma Battle Lines 4, Rushton versus Pickering, a clash for the Super Heavyweight Championship of the world, I'm going to say. Well, because it is, because Gamma is the world in mixed martial arts. I'm going to do a quick rundown of the card. I'm going to film the prelims off camera. I'm going to cover then the main portion of the show for you guys on camera. I'll do a review of what happened at the end, and then I'll finish off with doing a little bit of a review of each of the weight classes. I think that was requested. Seems a reasonable request to make, and we can see where things stand going forward. Okay, let's get stuck in without wasting any time. Okay, so go into a little bit of a breakdown of the card. Okay, so we've got Welcome to Blurcat's pre-show analysis of Gamma Battle Lines 4 Rushton vs Pickering being held in Nevada. This is the 4th Gamma show of 2001. We're due to have 6 main fights plus 8 preliminary bouts. Main eventing is Davey Rushton, 5-0, 2-0 in Gamma, going head-to-head with George Pickering, who's 8-0, 2-0 in Gamma. For the Gamma Super Heavyweight title, someone's O has to go. Also, the current world-ranked 6th light heavyweight, the Reaper Spencer Rubenstein, returns after his narrow loss to Lawrence Herringbone at Gamma 34, Rubenstein vs Herringbone. Gamma's number 10 ranked middleweight, the amazing JJ Reed, who lost a unanimous decision to Osmosis Ben in his previous fight at Gamma Clash of the Titans finals. The current world-ranked 5th heavyweight, Left of the Beast Octane, makes his Gamma debut. The current number 5 ranked pound-for-pound fighter, Samurai Spirit Tomohiro Takeuchi, makes his Gamma debut. That's right, we have featherweights. Okay. So Rushton, I'll cover the main fights and I'll gloss over the other stuff. Rushton is making his first defence of the Gamma Super Heavyweight title. If successful, it would set a new record for the belt. Rushton is main eventing a Gamma show for the second time. Both fighters are world-ranked super heavyweights. Rushton is number 2, Pickering is at number 8. It's the first time they've fought, and the betting odds have Pickering as a favourite by a large margin. Vanden Hoor trains at Evolution MMA. Rubenstein has an overall record of 1-0 against the other current members of that team. Rubenstein is the number 3 ranked light heavyweight in Gamma. Vanden Hoor is number 15. Rubenstein has won 3 of his last 5 fights by decision. Vanden Hoor last lost back in September 94. Vanden Hoor hasn't won since September 98. This is the first time they have fought, and Rubenstein is the favourite by a large margin. Quickly cover the other fights on here. We've got the Luis the Tarantula Machado taking on Samurai Spirit Tomohiro Takeuchi. A very highly anticipated featherweight bout between number 1 and 3 in the world. We have Left of the Beast Octane taking on Jesse the Spartan Singh in the heavyweight class. Middleweight battle sees JJ Reed taking on Jaromir Grigera. Lubas the Experiment Plus Seal taking on Dwayne the Weatherman Weatherly in the lightweight division. Gus Buster Fitzpatrick taking on Blazing Callum Henson in the welterweight class. Dan Bickersteth taking on Kel Big Baby Ryan, super heavyweight clash. Rupee the second generation star Kuki, I'm going to say Kuki, versus Giovanni De Matos, heavyweight showdown. Toby Dinglebury taking on Brody Crusham Howes in the light heavyweight class. Woody Buzzsaw Fierstein, I never know how to say that, I don't know why. It's quite straightforward. Fierstein. But I want to say Fierstein every time. Fierstein or Stein? Fierstein? I'm going to say Fierstein. Against the tap out artist. There we go. Tap out artist Billy Russell. Happy times. Zeke Elliott taking on Juan De Castro. I believe that's a middleweight tilt. Patrick the Troll Peterson taking on the Karate Kid Carl Chenoweth in the lightweight class. Featherweight outing between Freddie the Axe Lomax against Ikeda Kid Kenichiyo. And that is the end of the card. So what we're going to be doing, as I said, going to be covering the prelims off camera, come back for the main card action, and I'll obviously give you a bit of a summary of what's happened in the prelims as well. So fingers crossed it's a bit more exciting than the last show, because there were a lot of decisions in that one, but we'll get into the action and we'll see you shortly. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after a very entertaining undercard and preliminary fights, we go to the first main event of the evening. And by first main event, I mean first fight from the main card. We're in the lightweight division. Lubas the Experiment Plasil taking on Dwayne the Weatherman Weatherly. So let's get underway. Carl Crisp is the referee. Beer Bomb Rivers and Milligan the third are cage-side judges, and round 1 gets underway. An exchange of strikes doesn't go anywhere. They come together and strike. Weatherly hits the right jab but doesn't find the mark with the left hook. Placille scores with the jab but doesn't find the mark with the right hook. Both fighters meet in the centre. Weatherly misses with the right jab and also doesn't connect with the left hand. Placille is off target with the left jab and also can't hit a right cross. Weatherly comes in looking to strike. Placille had looked like he was going for a takedown attempt but couldn't take the initiative. Weatherly lands a jab and then lands a low kick to the legs. Setting up with excellent timing, Placille comes forward and shoots for the takedown. Weatherly cannot stop the takedown and has to pull guard. In guard, Placille begins working to pass to side control. He passes into side control. Placille tries to ensnare Weatherly in a knee bar, but Weatherly is able to stop him from hooking the leg. From hooking the leg. Weatherly tries to pull guard on Placille but doesn't get anywhere with the attempt. Placille tries to ensnare Weatherly in an arm triangle. Placille gets to the arm triangle, sinks it in deeply, but Weatherly is still trying to fight out of it and breaks free. Placille moves from side control to north-south position, the result of an attempted sweep. Placille elbows away at the ribs with sharp blows. Placille blocks Weatherly as he tries to scramble. Placille looks to spin out and secure an armbar. Pulling free of the armbar attempt, Weatherly scrambles. Round 1 ends as time expires. That was more exciting than I thought. I'd say that's definitely 10-9 in favour of Placille, and I would agree with you. And here we go for round 2. Placille moves in fast and grapples with his opponent. He tries to push Weatherly up against the cage, and does so, now has him controlled there. He's got solid control and appears to be trying to get a suplex attempt, and does. Suplex tosses Weatherly to the ground. Placille has no problem getting side control. Tries to get to the mount now and gets mount. Placille attempts to set up an armbar on Weatherly from the mount and catches him in the submission attempt on the 4th or 5th time of asking, causing Weatherly to tap out. Lubos Placille moves his record to 8-1, whilst Dwayne Weatherly falls to 18-9. Submission win by Lubos Placille at 2 minutes 10 of round 2 with an armbar. Great, according to those in attendance. That's very good. Nice way to start the card, or the main portion of the card. Now moving on, the amazing JJ Reed takes on Jaromir Grigera in the middleweight division. Carl Crisp is the referee. Wodehouse, Twain and Beer Bomb are the cage-side judges. We're underway. Grigera moves in and clinches, but had to move through a flurry of strikes on the way in. Grigera tries to use his dirty boxing skills, but Reed uses wrestling to smother the attacks. Grigera tries to push Reed so that his back is up against the cage, but doesn't manage to do so as Reed fought it. Now Grigera is trying to do the same thing again, and Reed this time ends up against the cage. Grigera pins Reed up against the cage and stomps down hard on his foot. Grigera tries to use some dirty boxing, but Reed uses wrestling to nullify any potential damage. Showing his ability to control opponents, Grigera simply smothers Reed against the cage. The next minute or so sees them engage in close quarters dirty boxing. Grigera pins Reed up against the cage and uses dirty boxing to inflict some damage, and Grigera continues to smother him, and they remain dirty boxing each other for a further minute. Now they've been broken up by the referee for lack of action. A fast approach allows Grigera to pull Reed into a clinch without taking any significant strikes. Grigera uses some dirty boxing as he grapples with Reed, and he tries to push him up against the cage, and Reed blocks it this time. He tries again though, and Reed out-wrestles him once more, and that's the end of round 1. Hopefully the next round will produce little more in the way of action. Fair enough. The round goes to Grigera, 10-9 on my card, I would agree. Round 2 begins. Grigera appears to be going to try and get in close, but Reed took the initiative first. Reed connects with a nice jab and then hits Grigera with a straight right. Grigera quickly steps in and grabs Reed. Catches him with a knee strike to the body as they grapple, and tries to push him up against the cage, but Reed again stops him. Grigera tries to wrestle Reed up against the cage once more, but this time manages it. Grigera uses dirty boxing to punish Reed while he is pressed up against the cage. And he smothers him with dirty boxing. Reed throws a few punches back. Reed still remains pressed up against the cage, and again the referee separates them for lack of action. There's always going to be a clunker on the card, isn't there? Grigera looks very tentative, pokes out a quick jab that hits. Reed connects with a nice jab and then hits a nice straight right. Grigera moves in and clinches, but had to withstand several punches to get there. Using his wrestling skills, Grigera is trying to push Reed up against the cage and does so, and smothers him there for the remainder of the round. Now, Reed is clearly getting the better of the striking battle, but Grigera is using very much a case of wall and stool to take these rounds. I think he's got that one as well, which he has. Now Reed needs to stop him to get the win. Here we go, last round. A jab lands from Reed, but a big right to the body fails to find the target. A 1-2 from Reed fails to land. Greydog times his approach perfectly and moves in to get the clinch. Greydog is trying to push Reed so that his back is up against the cage. He does so, now has Reed pinned to the cage. Showing his ability to control opponents, Greydog simply smothers Reed against the cage. They remain there, hitting each other with punches for about 60 seconds. Showing his ability, Greydog keeps on smothering him. Another minute goes by. Greydog tries to dirty box Reed, but finds himself out-wrestled and turned around, so he's the one against the cage. Now Reed makes a smart decision, moves back away from the grapple. Greydog takes a few glancing strikes as he closes the distance, but once again is able to get the clinch he desires. Tries to push Reed up against the cage, but Reed stops him. Reed uses his wrestling to smother Greydog and stop him from using any dirty boxing. Last minute of the round, Greydog is trying to muscle Reed up against the cage. He's unable to do so and loses control of the grapple. Now Reed looks for a trip takedown. The trip doesn't work, and now Greydog is back in control of the grapple. Tries to push Reed up against the cage and does so. He looks to hold him there, but Reed turns it around into the dominant position. But that is the end of the fight. Greydog probably wins the third round as well. Will probably take a 30-27 decision on the scorecards here. All three judges 30-27. Jaromir Greydog gets a debut win in Gamma, moves to 21-5, whilst the amazing JJ Reed slips to 26-7. Like I said, the way my booking style goes is I go for fighters in a similar position to be going up against each other, like winners fighting winners, high-ranked fighters relatively fighting high-ranked fighters. So clash of style sometimes isn't going to lead to the most exciting fights, but there will be exciting matches in there all the same. The crowd thought it was poor. That's fair enough. I didn't think it was good either. Move on now to what should be a relatively firework-inducing fight. Two heavyweight debutants in the Gamma organisation. Left of the Beast Octai taking on Jesse the Spartan Singh. Both having competed in European circuits, so it'd be nice to see how they can do on the American circuit. As you can see, left Octai is massively favoured in this fight at -1200. Leo Behan is the referee for the fight. Milligan III, Wodehouse and Twain are your cage-side judges. And here's the opening bell. They meet in the centre. Octai hits a jab and also hits a good right hand. Singh is off target with 2 jabs and also can't hit a right cross. They exchange strikes, but nothing really gets through. Both fighters meet in the centre. Octai lands a left jab and also lands a leg kick. Singh lands a left jab but doesn't find the mark with a right hook. Both fighters step in strike. Octai hits a left jab and also just about lands a head kick. Singh hits a jab but misses with a big right hand. There's an exchange of strikes but relatively close range, but nothing really lands. Both fighters come together and strike. Octai hits a jab and also hits a kick to the leg. Singh lands a left jab and also hits a right hand. We go past halfway point of the round. Octai may have been setting up to shoot, but Singh aggressively took the initiative. Singh hits a left hand but finds nothing but air with a big right. An exchange of strikes sees both fighters fail to land anything significant. Singh looks confident, shortening the range as he looks to strike. Octai, looking very tentative, pokes out a quick jab that hits. Singh fails to find a home for his jab, but then hits Octai with a straight right. Both fighters come together and strike. Octai scores with a jab and also scores with a quick kick to the lead leg. Singh misses a jab and also doesn't connect with the right hand. Octai chooses to shoot in on Singh. The takedown is successful. Singh has to pull guard. Now Octai's looking to pass to side control. He's too much for Singh, passing guard and gaining side control. In side control he now looks to get to the mount. He gets the mount, but that's where round 1 ends. I'd say that's definitely a 10-9 round for Octai, and I would agree with you. There's the bell for the start of the round. Both fighters come together and strike. It might be surprising. I think maybe some people have expected Octai to get the win already. Singh uses a left jab but misses a right hook. Octai hits a jab but misses a high kick. Octai times his approach perfectly and moves in to get the clinch. He catches Singh with a knee strike to the body from the grapple. Now looks to take him down thanks to the underhooks. He does so and gets side control as a result. Now he goes for mount. He's too good, gets the mount with ease. Now goes for an armbar, and there's the armbar. Submission victory in round 2. Left of the Beast Octai moves his record to 16-0, first Gamma win in his debut. Jesse the Spartan Singh falls to 17-6, and Octai will be pushing towards the main event for a title match. And here we go, there's the result. Left of the Beast Octai defeats Jesse the Spartan Singh, submission armbar in 2 minutes 31 of round 2. The match was rated as being great. Okay, next up we have Luis the Tarantula Machado taking on Samurai Spirit Tomohiro Takeuchi in the featherweight division. Let's see what happens here. Leo Behan is the referee for this fight. The judges for the bout are Reginald Wodehouse, Millhouse Twain and Johnny Beerbomb. And here's the opening bell. The fighters touch gloves. Both fighters seem to have the same idea and come together in a clinch. Takeuchi seems to get the advantage and tries to wrestle Machado backwards and up against the cage. He does so. Machado's stuck there. Machado is controlled against the cage and eats a sharp right to the ear. Takeuchi uses a vicious foot stomp. Machado is trapped against the cage and Takeuchi hits him with a short left uppercut. Showing his ability to exert control, Takeuchi smothers Machado up against the cage. An exchange of short punches takes place for half a minute. Machado still trapped there. Takeuchi taking advantage with dirty boxing, smothering him still. 30 seconds more with a bit of back and forth. Now the referee separates them for inactivity. The two fighters come together in a clinch and start wrestling. Takeuchi gets the better of the clinch again and tries to push Machado up against the cage. He can't move him though this time, now he's out wrestled. 1 minute left in the round. Machado tries to use a trip takedown, doesn't quite get it. Takeuchi is able to keep his base. Now Machado tries to take him down again and gets him down, and he gets side control as well. Now he looks to go from side control to mount. He allows the mount, but he just tries to scramble as a result. Now Takeuchi is up first and he has Machado up against the cage once more, and that is where the round is going to end. Yes, Takeuchi probably gets that round, and yep, that's what Blurcat is telling me. Round number 2 begins. They come together again and clinch. I think it's going to be a very grapple-heavy fight, this. I thought that when I booked it, but I don't mind, to be fair. See who's better. Takeuchi looks like he's gotten the better of the clinch. Using his wrestling skills, Takeuchi is trying to push Machado up against the cage. Does so. Stomps down on his opponent's foot. Another time. Keeps him stuck up against the cage. A short exchange of strikes goes on for 30 seconds or more. Machado throws a few short punches to the ribs. Takeuchi just keeps him smothered there again. Now the referee breaks them for inactivity. They start wrestling for position. Takeuchi looks like he's gotten the better of the clinch. Now he looks to try and wrestle him down to the ground. Hits him with a belly-to-belly suplex and gets side control. Takeuchi throws a few strikes but is clearly slowing down to catch his breath. Tries to move to guard does Machado, but Takeuchi doesn't allow it. Now Takeuchi tries to pound away but doesn't get much in the way through as far as damage. Takeuchi blocks Machado as he tries to transition to guard. And he's back to throwing strikes again just to catch his breath. Machado once again tries to get to guard but doesn't quite manage it, and Takeuchi pounds away, but Machado isn't really troubled by the strikes. So you'd have to say again, Takeuchi took that round. It wasn't the most exciting. Bit of a yawner, as Blurcat have said here. That's to go down to 10-9 to Takeuchi. Now Machado's probably going to need to finish this fight in order to win. Here comes the bell for the final round. They start trading blows, but neither can land anything damaging. That's a different start to the round. The two fighters come together in a clinch and start wrestling. That's more like it. Takeuchi wrestles his way into a dominant position in the clinch and goes for a wrestling-based takedown, and does so with a belly-to-belly that leaves him in side control. Now Takeuchi is trying to catch his breath and just peppers him with punches to the body. But he's blocking from Machado from going back to guard. Back to peppering away, but Machado is really kind of blocking most of the damage. Tries to get guard again, does Machado, doesn't work. Takeuchi fires off a few more punches just as he catches his breath. Now he goes to attempt to mount. He gets the mount, but Machado starts for a scramble, much like the reverse happened in round 1. Machado ends up having to pull guard, losing out in the scramble. Well, at least he gets the guard he wanted. The clock runs down as Machado is being smothered against the ground by Takeuchi. Takeuchi keeps him guessing with strikes, throws a few right hands as he takes a moment to plan ahead. Now Machado tries to secure an arm, but is fended off by Takeuchi. Throws a few more right hands to the body. And that's the end of the fight. So that's probably going to be a Takeuchi 30-27 clean sweep, I would have thought, for the 30-year-old Japanese man from Nagoya. All score at 30-27 to your winner, Samurai Spirit. Tomohiro Takeuchi wins by unanimous decision, moving on to 21-2. Luis the Tarantula Machado falls to 25-5. It's very difficult to out-wrestle Tomohiro Takeuchi in the featherweight division, though, so shouldn't feel too bad about it. We're now moving on to the co-main event as the modern-day gladiator Brian Vandenhoor squares off with the Reaper Spencer Rubenstein in the Gamma light heavyweight division. Carl Crisp is the referee. Wodehouse, Twain and Beerbomb are your cage-side judges. Round 1 begins. An offer to touch gloves is simply ignored by Vandenhoor. Interesting start. Might live to regret that. 2 defensive jab hits from Vandenhoor, but neither had any power. Rubenstein hits a left jab and then scores with a right cross that landed hard. Rubenstein closes in on Vandenhoor, looking to unleash some strikes. Vandenhoor looks like he might have been trying to go in close and get a clinch, but Rubenstein aggressively took the initiative, and as a result lands 2 jabs, but his big right hand follow-up misses. Vandenhoor had looked like he was angling to grapple, but again couldn't take the initiative, and Rubenstein hits a left jab, and then hits a nice straight right that lands hard. Vandenhoor uses the left jab while backing away. Rubenstein connects with a nice jab but then hits a body kick. Vandenhoor steps in and grapples with his opponent but has to take several strikes on the way in to do so. Vandenhoor is looking to push Rubenstein so that his back is up against the cage. Rubenstein doesn't let himself be driven back though. Rubenstein tries to get Vandenhoor into a Muay Thai clinch. Rubenstein can't quite get it and Vandenhoor takes control of the grapple. Vandenhoor is looking to muscle Rubenstein against the cage but doesn't get driven back, does Rubenstein. Now Rubenstein tries to pepper Vandenhoor with some short strikes to the side of the head. Halfway through the round, Vandenhoor tries to wiggle free, but Rubenstein controls him well and gets in close range punches too. Vandenhoor smothers Rubenstein when he tries to use some dirty boxing and gains the upper hand as a result. Now he's looking to push him up against the cage and does so. Rubenstein has got his back to the cage and he's just being held there at the moment. 30 seconds continue. They hit each other with some short punches to the body and side of the head. Rubenstein is trapped against the cage, unable to break free, and they remain there for the rest of the round, hitting each other with short punches to the body and side of the head. I'd give it to Rubenstein this round. And so does Blurcat. There's a bell for the start of the second round. Vandenhoor steps in and grapples with his opponent, but had to take several strikes on the way in to do so. He's now trying to push Rubenstein up against the cage. Rubenstein doesn't let himself get driven back and now tries to muscle Vandenhoor up against the cage. From two strikers, I was thinking that we might... Well, actually, Vandenhoor is a Greco-Roman wrestler. Forgot about that. Rubenstein achieves it, pinning Vandenhoor to the cage. Vandenhoor is controlled up against the cage and takes an elbow to the face from the clinch. Rubenstein tries to throw an elbow, but Vandenhoor takes the opportunity to turn his opponent around so that Rubenstein ends up backed against the cage instead. Vandenhoor tries to maintain control, but Rubenstein wrestles his way out of trouble and turns it so that Vandenhoor ends up backed against the cage. Rubenstein looks for a knee to the thigh, but Vandenhoor out-wrestles him and switches them around so that he's in the dominant position. Halfway in the round, Rubenstein wrestles back against Vandenhoor, turning around so that he's now got his back to the cage. Vandenhoor takes a knee strike just above the hip, excuse me, and the referee breaks him up for lack of action. A jab lands from Rubenstein, but Vandenhoor evades a big right punch. Vandenhoor times his approach perfectly and gets the clinch he wants. Tries to push Rubenstein up against the cage, and does so. Showing his ability to control opponents, he keeps him up there. And they remain there for the short punches for about 30 seconds. And that is the end of round 2. Moving on to the final round. Rubenstein gets it, but only a 10-9. Looking like he's more than likely going to get a decision unless there's some sort of screwy judges finish here. Even if he takes his final round, Vandenhoor looks like he's going to need a finish. And here we go, one last round. Vandenhoor backing off, hits a weak left hand. Rubenstein hits a left jab and then catches Vandenhoor with a beautiful right kick to the head. A jab hit home from Rubenstein and then hits a fast right high kick to the side of the head again. As he backs off, it becomes clear that Vandenhoor is on robbery legs. That last shot rocks him. Vandenhoor is down. He is nailed with a big right kick to the head. Rubenstein senses victory and starts to unload with punches. Pounds away and Vandenhoor is in big trouble and definitely rocked. Tries to knock Vandenhoor into an armbar, surprisingly. Vandenhoor doesn't allow the armbar to be applied. Vandenhoor tries to transition to a guard but can't manage it. In side control now, Rubenstein catches his breath, content just to throw a couple of punches to the body. Vandenhoor tries to move to guard, but Rubenstein doesn't allow it. In side control, Rubenstein begins working to get to mount. He allows the amount attempt, but it's just deployed to allow a scramble. And Vandenhoor ends up having to pull half guard, losing out in the scramble. Rubenstein throws a few right hands, but is mainly trying to catch his breath. Rubenstein looks to get past the half guard. He does so, but he doesn't go. He can't secure side control because Vandenhoor starts to scramble. Vandenhoor scrambles to his feet, but Rubenstein manages to drive him into the cage. Rubenstein smothers Vandenhoor against the cage and uses his dirty boxing skills to his advantage. We move into the final 60 seconds of this round. Vandenhoor waits for Rubenstein to throw a knee strike, then turns him around so he's got his back against the cage. Now Vandenhoor smothers him for a little while. The remainder of the round sees them engage in close quarters dirty boxing, and that is where the round's going to win. That's definitely a Rubenstein round. 10-9 to Rubenstein. It should be a clean sweep once again, 30-27. And here is your winner by unanimous decision, the Reaper Spencer Rubenstein, moving his record to 17-5, the Toledo, Ohio native. And meanwhile, Brian Vandenhoor, oh dear, falls to 19-5. But, you know, it's alright. Average co-main event. Let's hopefully the main event can really mix things up here. I don't expect this to go the distance, I will say that. Scheduled for 5 rounds though, the main event of the evening. Davey Rushton looks to defend his super heavyweight title against George Guillotine Pickering. A battle of the undefeateds. Davey Rushton, of course, was Season 1 winner of Clash of the Titans. They said Tash of the Clytons. That would have been interesting. Clash of the Titans. Davey Rushton representing American Cage Fighters. Meanwhile, George Guillotine Pickering is from Evolution MMA. It's UK battle as Stirling Scotland goes up against Swansea Wales, and the challenger for the title is actually the favourite, so we'll have to see how things unfold. Carl Crisp is the referee. Wodehouse, Twain and Beerbomb are your cage-side judges. Round 1 begins. Pickering shoots in for a takedown immediately. Rushton is able to remain standing, hopping on 1 foot. Pickering can't get Rushton down, so settles pushing him up against the cage and smothers Rushton up against the cage. They exchange in close quarters dirty boxing. Now Pickering uses underhooks to gain solid control and is looking for a takedown from a better starting position, but Rushton prevents the takedown by grabbing the cage out of desperation. Problems. Rushton gets a break as the referee apparently didn't see that piece of cheating. Unable to get free, Rushton is smothered up against the cage. They dirty box each other at range for 60 seconds or so. Pickering has got an underhook and looks to try and take him down again. Rushton cannot stop himself this time, being lifted and dropped with a Greco-Roman slam. Rushton gives off his back off the takedown. That's not what you want to do if you're Rushton. Pickering unloads with big right hands and lands a few powerful shots. Pickering tries to get his hooks in but can't. Rushton tries a roll but doesn't budge Pickering. Pickering tries to get the rear naked choke applied, and without even getting the hooks in, the rear naked choke is sunk in deep. Rushton has to tap out, and Davey Rushton has lost his Gamma super heavyweight title to George Guillotine Pickering, who now moves his record to 9-0. Davey Rushton falls to 5-1. And we have a new super heavyweight champion. The first time a title has changed hands. That is a lie. Absolute lie. Marlon John already won the light heavyweight title. So the first time the title has changed hands in a television show that we've shown here on this this video stream so far. It's not a stream. It's not a stream at all. Series is the word I was looking for there. We'll go with that one. Okay. So George Pickering is the winner by submission. Winner of this Gamma Super Heavyweight titles. Rear naked choke in 4 minutes 13 of round 1. I said it wasn't going to go the distance. Okay, so we can see now how the show did. Gamma Battle Lines 4, Rushton versus Pickering. Saturday of week 2, April 2001. 684 in Nevada turned up for this. Gate of $133,175. Critical rating of 66%. Commercial rating of 50%. It wasn't ever going to be that great. I just, I want to get some of these guys who are champions a bit of exposure on TV, because obviously I think that's where they're going to get the most, exposure to a certain extent, and it'll improve their popularity relatively quickly. The show was broadcast by CANN. As you can see here, we've got the main card as what happened. Obviously you saw that in the stream. We had actually half the fights go to a decision, no screwy jobs, and half the fights finished by submission, so that's good. And here we have the prelims. So this is what you missed. Gus Fitzpatrick beat Callum Henson, took all 3 rounds, wasn't even a problem. Kel Ryan just hit Bickersteth a few times, knocked him out. There wasn't too much. I don't think Bickersteth had any form of offense in that 1 minute 19 that the fight lasted. Rupakuki beats Giovanni De Matos, unanimous decision again, took every round in doing so. Toby Dingleberry beat Brody Howes by split decision. I did give it to Dingleberry. I think he should have won 29-28. Billy Russell beat Woody Fierstein by submission armbar. Again, never in doubt, Russell won the first round as well. Zeke Elliott beat Juan De Castro, unanimous decision. I think that could have gone either way, actually, that one, and I wouldn't have blamed the judges for giving it to Juan De Castro because he really came back into it in the 3rd round. The 2nd round could have gone either way. Juan De Castro started striking him on his feet as Elliott started tiring down and clearly won the 3rd round. If that had been a 5-round fight, Castro would have taken it for my money. Patrick Pedersen, in my favourite fight, I think, of the evening, TKO'd Carl Chenoweth, who was picking apart Pedersen for the entire time on the feet. Pedersen kept trying to get close, wasn't really landing anything. Chenoweth was hitting him at distance. And then in the 3rd round, Pedersen just got close enough to hit him with an uppercut, knocked him down to the floor, jumped on him, pounded him. That was it. That's all she wrote. Just took one moment of misfortune for Chenoweth for Patrick Pedersen to walk away with a victory. And Akira Kenkichio was pushed the distance by Freddie Lomax, who actually, I think, won a round, but Kenkichio was the deserved winner there. And that's how the show finished. So some pretty good results. We'll close that down. Popularity decreased by 4%. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't the biggest named show we have. I'm not worried about that. We'll be able to pick all this stuff up as we go along. Let's see what awards the... I'll tell you what. Left Octay and Jesse Singh was voted as the fight of the night. Okay. Keep it at $5,000 for bonuses so far. Lubas Plasil gets the submission of the night against Dwayne Weatherly. And Kel Ryan gets... I'll agree with a knockout. It's a very good knockout. Kel Ryan knocking out Den Bickersteth gets the knockout of the night. I'll accept that. Although, like I said, Patrick Peterson and Carl Chenoweth on another night would have got fight of the night for me. But I guess actually Oxide did quite well to break down his opponent. So we can see the highest earners of the night. Spencer Rubenstein 25,500, left at Octay 11,600, JJ Reed 9,000, Lubos Plasil 8,520, and Kel Ryan 7,100, rounding up the top 5 who are on the card. Gate receipts 133,175. Got some sponsorship money. Ads and subs got us 500,000. Merchandise just nearly 8,000. And so in total we made about 500,000 on this show. So you can't complain at all. And as I said, I've added a load of characters to this database. So we've got that as we go further down the road and expanding divisions and what have you, we'll have some really exciting matchups to come. And now what I said I would do is I would show you guys the rankings that we have so far in Gamma. I won't do it on today's show. Well, I will do it in this video, but not on today in the game. I'll put it to Monday, just so we can see the updated rankings from there. Whilst it thinks about it. Okay, well, we'll go into the office either way. Sort that out off camera. And here are the rankings. So, super heavyweight, obviously George Pickering goes up to first place there. Gary Sampson, Efren Lawat, Hanley Poulter, Joe Snettisham, Frank Paul, Kel Ryan, Zolt Hargitay, Sherman Shields, Marvin Stevens, Graham Goodbody, Seb Moorhead, Angus Silversmith, Teddy Glossop, Davey Rushton, who's had a dramatic fall down to 15th, Terry Shakespeare, Randolph Gilliver, Jan Hasluck, Wally Bryant, Ossa Malby, Erwin Middleton, John James McKinley, Dwight Witherspoon, Eric Hughes and Benoit Lavoie. I'm not going to read them all down like that, just in case you're wondering. Heavyweights, we can see that Left Octay retains his second spot after his impressive victory over the Englishman, who we saw not do the best debut, Jesse Singh, but, you know, he was up against one of the best heavyweights in the world. Collins Lundy making it onto the list, so you can also see some of the new signings we've brought in. Obviously, be interesting to make some matchups based on these people. Go down to the light heavyweight division. Spencer Rubenstein moves up to second place in the rankings. Any other significant movement from anyone who fought on that show? Not really. Junior Patinkin, Linfield Ballard both move up places. You can see Brian Vandenhorst still back down in 15th. Ricky Heath's dropped down. And we've got some new people there in Roberto Aldes and Nico Soldo. Marlon John obviously still top of that division. Matthew Dean Braulio Mora. There'll be... That's quite interesting, actually, because obviously Mori lost his last fight, still ranked second. Not bad. Jaromir Grigera, the big mover in the middleweights, obviously moving up to 8th place with his victory over JJ Reed, who's now fallen down to 15th. Everything else is just basically caused because of what's happened in that fight. Billy Russell, however, is a new entrant at number 24, following his victory on the undercard against Woody Fierstein. Welterweight, we can see Callum Henson's dropped down the rankings as a result of his loss on the card. And surprisingly, although he beats Callum Henson, Fitzpatrick doesn't yet make it onto the top 25. So that's really the only change from the welterweight side of things. We can see obviously some of the new signings that we have there as well. Lightweight, any big changes? We've got Lubos Plasil moving up to 18th place and Patrick Peterson jumping all the way to 20th after his knockout victory, or TKO victory more accurately. That's how the lightweight situation looks at the moment. And featherweight, which is obviously a very new division that we have here in Gamma, opened up recently. I've raided all the companies for featherweight talent because I want the best fighters here. Simply put, they can obviously cultivate new talent and then I'll take my favourites out of those down the road. Very UFC-like, and I have no problem with that, and I'm not ashamed either. So we can see Tomohiro Takeuchi is now provisionally the number 1 featherweight. However, I have booked a featherweight title fight between Filip Kidziski and Snorri Gunnarsson, which will be taking place later on. You'd assume the winner of that will go to number 1, and will most likely have to take on Tomohiro Takeuchi. Let's see. Bantamweight. Another new division. I basically wanted to add a bantamweight division as well, and we'll be doing a reality TV show based on the bantamweights. Haven't decided who exactly is going to make it onto the show yet, but I will be picking 16 of these gentlemen to compete, and we'll have to see how things go. But that brings us nicely to the end of the rankings. We've seen the show now, and we just get to look forward to the next show, and to give you a sneak peek at what I'm hoping that will be, it is Ziski versus Gunnison. Obviously, there's still time for that event to fall off and things need to be rescheduled for injuries, but as it stands, that is going to be the main event to crown the first featherweight champion. I've been ScottBGaming. Hopefully you've enjoyed this ride in the Gamma Legacy so far. Until next time, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more content, and I will see you around.
Shut up and sit down.